A Shalom Markins of Karma Kapash from GMS London, giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem Chachwadash. Want to give double honors unto the elders, the apostles of GMS, and Shalom out there to the hopeful elect, pushing his truth and all sincerity. Back again with another video. I'm going to entitle this one, We Are Not Friends. Right? You see, you got this article here from Europe News, right? It says Europeans think US is what I was supposed to say is a necessary partner, not an ally. Study finds. All right. So this relationship that America has with Europe, okay, or the relationship the whore has with the beast, in the Book of Revelations, is one of convenience. At least currently, it's currently convenient to a certain level, right? It's becoming increasingly inconvenient for Europe, right? So-called America's allies, okay, it's so-called friends, right? But the mood has been shifting over these years, right? And the feeling of resentment and animosity is occurring in Europe over how America has been dealing with, its allies, right? Everyone knows America pulls all the strings, man. It is the whore that sitteth upon the beast, right? Because America is that powerhouse nation in the planet, and all these nations, they want to be in bed with America because it brings them profit by doing all types of different deals and whatever, right? And it's the only reason why they allow America to run the show like that, other than the fact that America's got the mightiest military out of all of them, right? America is the spearhead of NATO, right? That North Atlantic Treaty Organization, right? But it's basically America's army, right? Because they invest the most in it. Okay, they supply the most troops and weapons and equipment and stuff like that, right? And these European nations are basically benefiting of America's protection and business trades and all that kind of stuff, right? Which Trump made, apparently clear he was unhappy with last time he was in office, and that continues to this day. Now he's back in office. He doesn't really rate these European nations or NATO, all right, and this is why he's threatening tariffs and all these types of different things, right? So the European nations, that they are they're getting tired, man, right? And they don't see America as a friend, as an ally. Okay, so I'm gonna read some of this. It says a study by the European Council on Foreign Relations shows that Europeans no longer see the US as an ally, and revealed a broad variety of opinions of the future of the EU. A majority of Europeans consider the US is a necessary partner rather than an ally, according to a poll published on Wednesday by the pan-European think tank European Council on Foreign Relations. Against the backdrop of friction between the EU and US over tariffs. This view was shared by half of the respondents to the survey, and the majority of those questioned in countries traditionally close to the US, such as Denmark, Germany, and Poland. This represents a big change for some countries that used to be strongly transatlantic. Paweł Zerka, ECFR's senior policy fellow, said, adding that this is understandable because if Donald Trump does no longer present the transatlantic alliance as a true alliance, but as something which needs to be transactional, then we simply accept it. Right, it's just a transactional relationship. All right. According to the analyst, the situation should be regarded as an opportunity for Europeans to try to set up a pragmatic approach to the US rather than an idealistic one. The poll conducted in 11 EU countries include Germany, France, Italy, Poland, Portugal, Spain, Denmark, Estonia, Romania, Bulgaria, Hungary, as well as Ukraine, Switzerland, and the UK. Right, even though UK is not considered part of the EU anymore, right? But they still have their place in the bloc, right? However, it also shows divergent opinion on Trump himself, with more apparent supporters in Southeast Europe and detractors in Northwestern and countries of Europe. Let's see if I can extract any more useful information out of this, within the purpose of the lesson. Actually, that's quite interesting. It says the study also showed broad variations in European perception of Europe and its role in the world. The largest camp, so-called Euro-optimistics, believe that the EU is a great power and that its collapse is unlikely within the next 2 decades. Right? They believe themselves to be a great power. Right? So they rate themselves. Right? They represented, even though a lot of things in the EU is failing right now. Economically. Um, So they represented 30% of the respondents, with the largest group in Estonia, Denmark, Ukraine, Spain, and Portugal. By contrast, 22% of respondents were Euro pessimists, believing the EU is not a power and is doomed to collapse. Well, newsflash, man, you're all doomed to collapse, man, because you're all wicked. The Most High is dismantling Europe, it's dismantling America, it's dismantling all these different nations. The Lord is dismantling them, man. Right? Plenty of people doubt whether the EU is a great power who could deal on equal terms with the likes of China or the US. No, it can't. Right? There are many people also across the EU who question the resilience of the bloc and believe that it is likely that in the next decade or two the EU could fall apart, Zerka said, adding that there are several shades of grey and that those who believe that the EU will fall apart and that it is not a great power are actually a minority. The overall sample study included 18,507 respondents. All right, so I said a lot of them just seeing this relationship that we have with America as a necessary thing, right? For the EU to survive and to do well, right? It's best to keep good relations or the best we can with America. That's their view, as opposed to them being close allies and we're friends and that kind of stuff. Really, on the down low, they fucking despise America. They hate American politics and how they being treated. All right. But you can see it there. The sentiment is there, right? That America is not really uh, a friend of Europe, right? Which is the beast, right? I'm gonna get this Matthew 12 and verse 25 here. It says, "And Yahushua knew their thoughts and said unto them, Every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. And if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand?" Right? And this is what's happened to Esau's kingdom right now. It's being divided, right? They don't agree with one another. They're not treating each other with with kindness, right? These so-called Christians, right? Yeah, they're not treating each other with kindness. They're not, they're all kind of looking out for themselves at the moment. None so more than America right now. And so they're divided, okay, which they're doomed to, be destroyed, right? And that's what's going to happen to the EU, and that's what's going to happen to America. All of these kingdoms on the planet is going to be dissolved, okay? It's Revelation chapter 18 and verse 3. "So for all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies." That's the relationship of convenience, right? Because they're being made rich, they're able to do deals and make money. That is the only reason why they're dealing with America the way they are. If Europe was strong enough and big enough and had a mighty military and big enough to compete with the likes of America directly, they wouldn't be begging friend like that. They would that it's still a big market, so they still want to do trade, but they wouldn't be so reliant on America, right? Because there are only other options that they got. If they can't deal with America, they'd have to deal with China. They'd have to, they'd have to, because the European bloc just wouldn't fucking survive. It just wouldn't, right? But they have to get their income and sell their shit to somebody, right? And get their goods in, because Britain don't fucking make Nike anyway, so we buy a lot of shit in. But Europe's not in a strong state, and so they're relying on stronger economies, stronger nations. Okay, so if they lost that relationship with America, as even if it's just business, right, that would be a big blow for the European bloc, right? And they'd have to turn over to someone like China, because they just wouldn't be able to do it on their own. Okay, Esau is weak. His kingdom is weak right now. Right, that's just the truth. Okay, if it wasn't for America and them sticking together, these nations wouldn't really stand a chance. But Um, so yeah, the wax rich through the abundance of her delicacies, right? All the deals and trades that they've been doing, right? I'm gonna jump down, verse 9. And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning, right? Because that's gonna end up, the judgment that America is gonna receive is gonna be burnt with fire. Okay, for the nuclear fire that the Most High is gonna send upon that place. All right. I'm not going to read the rest of that. You can read the rest of that here, but just go into what they've been trading, what they've been made rich from, right? But I just want to get the point. This is Revelation chapter 17 and verse 16, right? And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, right? So where is it? Verse 3 in Revelation chapter 17 here says, so he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman set upon a scarlet colored beast, right? The scarlet colored beast is NATO and the EU, right? Okay, the woman that sit upon the beast is America, right? She is the ruler of that beast. She is the owner of that beast. She is the one that's in control. One that's got the leash on that beast, right? But the beast is sick of being led, okay, and having to concede to America's demands and stuff like that. And like I said, Trump's in power and they're just threatening tariffs and shit. I mean, which is gonna cause their economy to suffer, you know. So yeah, so the woman sit upon a scarlet colored beast full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. Okay. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, right? Because America is that head nation, right? She's the one that's sitting on the top, okay? Having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication, okay? I should have read the first verse as well, right? It says here in the first verse, and there came one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying, saying unto me, come hither, I will shew unto the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters, right? Because this great whore, America, is, like I said, it's the head nation, and it oppresses all these other nations, man, because it has the strength to, right? So it oppresses these other nations, its allies, its so-called allies, and all these other different nations across the world. America is, really oppresses them. Okay. But jumping down here back to 16. It says, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore. Right? So these European nations, okay, these NATO nations, man, they shall hate the whore. And like I said, they've gone from being friends, close allies, and all this kind of stuff to just convenient partners. Right? So the feeling of love is disappearing. Right? And this is going to turn into hate. Right? They're really going to despise America by the end of this, right? So these shall hate the whore and shall make her desolate and naked, right? To the point where these allies, these so-called allies, is going to shoot missiles on America too, in the midst of all this, in World War III and so, right? And shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. For God hath put it in their hearts to fulfill his will, right? To agree and to give their kingdom unto the beast until the words of God shall be fulfilled. And the woman which thou sawest is that great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth, okay, which is America. Okay, that's why they can go around and slap tiresome people, It's just easy that a small nation couldn't do that, because who would give a fuck, right? America is the major player in the earth, right? It's a big deal, right? This is Sirach chapter 14, verse 5 says, he that is evil to himself, to whom would he be good, right? So this is how America and these Edomites, treat each other, man, right? They don't give a shit, right? They don't care who suffers out of it. This is all about the elites, right? This is a game of the elites. And so Esau is quite happy to fuck up his own people, in order to achieve his goals, right? So if he's prepared to do this to his own people, how do you think that Esau's going to come and help anybody? Fuck everybody else. How do you expect him to help you Israelites, you Jake out there, man? You Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans. What do you think Esau's here to do? He ain't here to help nobody, but himself, beginning with the elites, right? So again, he that is evil to himself, to whom will he do good? He shall not take pleasure in his goods. There is none worse than he that envieth himself, and this is a recompense of his wickedness. If he doeth good, he doeth it unwillingly, and at last he will declare his wickedness. So any appearance of good nature that this man demonstrates to you, Jake, you so-called black people, you Hispanics, Native Americans, right, or whatever, right? These token gestures that he makes, man, it is nothing. It ain't nothing, right? It's not to It's not because he feels for you or he wants to help. He doesn't give a shit, right? Like, so he doesn't give a shit about his own people, right? He damn sure doesn't give a shit about you, Jake, man. Especially when we know in the scriptures that he has a perpetual hatred for us, right? So you can't expect this devil to do us any good, man. All these token gestures, man, they're just smoke screens, you know. It's Daniel chapter 7 verse 20. So, and of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellow. Right, this little horn that's come up out the ones that the 3 that fell. Okay, which is going into prophecy back when America was claiming its dependency from the British, the French, and the Spanish. These are the 3 horns that they went up against, right? Who they defeated to get their independency, right? America became a great nation, you know, after these things, right? It kind of signified the end of British, you know, the British Empire and stuff like that. You know, these things, you know, Britain was losing power, and Britain now has no power, pretty much, right? It acts like it's still a big player in the earth, but it's not really, you know. All these things, you know, World War II, at the end of that, Europe was screwed. America became that mighty nation, right? Because that was, you know, the succession. That was, you know, how things are supposed to be, because America is meant to, you know, take its place and fulfill these prophecies that we're reading about, right? So the little horn came up. So even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, right? America, it talks the most shit. It talks like it's the greatest, right? The greatest ever, right? And it may well have been, maybe, you know, at one point, but you know, they still go on with that proud ass shit, and America is dying, you know, but they still speak the shit. Got the greatest military, greatest, you know, middle class and wealth and goals, rose paid with gold, even though that's all bullshit. But you know, they still boast themselves against everybody else, right? So the mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellow, more proud, right? And I said these European nations are sick and tired of America's behavior, right, and how they're being treated. Okay, so this is what's going to lead to them turning on America. All right, I'm going to close out with this. This from Obadiah chapter 1, verse 7. It says, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee. Right, so you know, the EU and America, they were at peace with they were at peace with each other. They were friends. They were allies. Right, but that relationship is changing quite obviously. So the men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee, right? So they're gonna set you up, right? And prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread, right? Because they've been made the merchants of the earth, right? They've been made rich from dealing with America, the relation of convenience of business, right? So they that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. They've betrayed thee. You know, give them the old Brutus treatment. You know what I'm saying? You know, Julius and Brutus, right? So they have laid a wound under thee, and that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna betray America, and they're gonna launch missiles on that place, right? So there is none understanding him. So there's no negotiating or convincing, right? They're not gonna listen because they're sick and tired. right? And all these things are gonna, manifest themselves more and more as we get closer to the time, once we're in the World War III and all that kind of stuff, right? But you can see the severity of the cracks, okay, that's in the relationship, which reminds me of another scripture. Iron and miry clay. Oops. Right, because this is the condition of the kingdom that's ruling currently, right? The fourth kingdom, beginning here, the fourth kingdom is Rome, is represented by the iron. But the kingdom where we're at now, under the ruleship of Esau, which is like a Rome part 2, okay, is made of iron and clay, which they don't go together, right? That's not strong. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna read this 40. Daniel 2:40 says, "And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things." Right, but because they got the military power, America still has a mighty military, and joint with NATO, it's the biggest, the strongest, right? But things are not working out so well. Okay, and as iron breaketh all these, shall it break in pieces and bruise. And whereas thou sawest the feet and the toes, so we've gone from the leg to the toes, which is still a remnant of that iron, of that kingdom, of the Roman kingdom, in the feet and the toes, right? But it's not as strong as it was. It's not the same as it once was. So whereas I saw the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be partly divided. Oh, sorry, it's not partly. It says the kingdom shall be divided, right? And that's what it is, right? But there shall be in it the strength of the iron, right? Because they still got the military. For as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay, and as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of the clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. Okay, whereas the source, the iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with miry clay. Right, so there's all kind of turmoil going on, especially now, as we draw closer to the end times. There's all kind of turmoil, with everything that's going on in their kingdom. We're waiting for Yahushua to come and destroy this place. All right, because we're getting closer to that time. All right, but I'm going to end it there. Lord willing, it's been edifying, and I'll catch you brothers and sisters on the next video. Till next time, I say shalom.